Welcome to the deep dive. We get into the things that are really making waves, and lately, honestly, the talk around superhero movies has just been, well, exhaustion.
Yeah, you felt it everywhere, didn't you? This superhero fatigue just settling in.
Totally. We saw all those big disappointments, right? Box office misses from both the big players, Marvel and DC. It created this kind of cynical mood.
It really did. Felt like everyone was just shrugging, thinking, okay, what else is new? The whole genre seemed kind of tapped out.
So it's pretty amazing then that James Gunn's new Superman film, the one landing in 2025, just lands in the middle of all that fatigue and just works.
And it didn't just succeed, it was a phenomenon right out of the gate.
95, 96%, that's huge.
Plus, that opening weekend, nearly making back its entire $225 million budget in, 3 days? Just incredible.
Which brings us to the big question, the paradox, really. How did this movie pull off such a massive win? Not by, radically changing Superman or going super gritty.
No, exactly. It was the opposite. It's been called this act of radical restoration, just pure, unabashed sincerity, but smart sincerity.
Right. It swam completely against the tide of what we've seen for, the last decade.
It really did.
So that's what we're going to dive into today. We want to unpack how Gunn's Superman managed this, how it embraced the fantastic, but grounded it all in real human feeling.
And how it put Superman back as the sort of moral center, in a world that feels pretty adrift sometimes.
We'll look at the nods to film history, the characters which are just so well done, that unique look and feel, and how it actually engages, surprisingly sharply, with things we're all thinking about right now.
Okay, so to really get what Gunn did, we kind of have to look back at what came right before. Specifically, Zack Snyder's influence.
Yeah, Snyder's 2013 Man of Steel really set a tone. It cast this long, very gray shadow, you could say.
His vision was often called, somber, right? Grounded realism. Even joyless by some, definitely. His Superman, Henry Cavill's portrayal, was this sort of brooding figure, burdened, an outsider. It was a deconstruction, really, for an anxious time, a world full of fear.
So Gunn comes in. How does he signal that shift? What's the immediate difference you feel?
Well, right away, the visuals. Gunn's film is just drenched in bright, vibrant color. It pops.
And the descriptions you hear are all hopeful, fun, heartfelt. It's clearly looking back to something else.
Absolutely. It's a very deliberate nod to that classic 1978 Richard Donner film, the Christopher Reeve one. That earnest kind of, shucks, goodness, you feel that tonal shift immediately.
And the music. That's maybe the most overt signal, bringing back John Williams' iconic theme.
Oh, yeah. John Murphy and David Fleming wove it back in. Controversial for some, maybe, but it's such a clear statement.
It's like saying, okay, we're rejecting that solemn, heavy sound we've had recently. It's pure, soaring optimism, nostalgia even.
And then there's the story choice, probably the boldest move, skipping the origin completely.
Right. Just drops you straight in. In medias res, as they say. Superman's already been around for 3 years.
Yeah, a few quick title cards. Metahumans are ancient. Soupy's landed 30 years back, revealed himself 3 years ago. Done. It trusts, the basics.
We don't need Krypton exploding again. We get it.
Exactly. It's refreshing, isn't it? It frees up the whole narrative.
Totally. Instead of how he became Superman, it gets to ask what it means to be Superman, especially in a world that's kind of suspicious of him now.
And that confidence lets the film build its emotional weight, not through backstory, but through this really unique visual style, this mix of the absurd and the authentic.
Let's talk about that look. The Atlantic had a great phrase for it. Candy-coated chaos.
That's perfect. It's stuffed with these wild ideas. You've got giant monsters, kaiju battles.
In Crypto. The superdog who's just hilariously hard to handle sometimes.
Yeah, and the whole bureaucratic mess of starting a super team, the Justice Gang, with Green Lantern basically being this grumpy space cop. It's all very whimsical.
It feels very Gunn, right? You see the DNA from his Troma days, and definitely from Guardians of the Galaxy, that love for the weird and wonderful.
For sure. And here's the brilliant part, I think. Conventional thinking says, you need gritty realism for real emotion. Campiness undercuts it.
Right. That's usually the assumption.
But Gunn flips that. He leans into the absurdity. He fully embraces how comic booky it all is.
So how does that help the emotional side? Doesn't it risk feeling silly?
You'd think so, but it actually disarms you. The film isn't pretending to be our reality. It says, look, this is a fantasy. And within that declared fantasy space.
Okay. Pure emotion can exist without feeling like naive or out of place.
Exactly. The sincerity feels earned because it lives inside this crazy, colorful world.
There's that scene people talk about Superman fighting a giant monster, right? But he's also getting annoyed.
Yeah, annoyed at his own teammates.
Yeah.
Because they're causing so much collateral damage.
So the goofy setup lets you see something really deep about him. His main thing is always protecting people, not just punching the monster.
Precisely. It's sincerity through absurdity. It lets the film have this incredibly warm human heart, despite, the kaiju. It's got this deeply emotional core.
And that warmth really radiates from the performances. David Corenswet as Superman, people are calling it a star-making term.
Oh, absolutely. He kind of solves that old Clark Kent problem, doesn't he? How do you make this godlike being relatable?
What's his approach?
Well, he doesn't play Clark Kent as just a clumsy disguise. The real Kal-El, the good-hearted guy, shines through in both, whether he's the reporter or the hero.
He's just fundamentally decent.
Yeah, he's just a good dude, as some put it. And the film shows his vulnerabilities right away.
We meet him kind of banged up, whistling for his dog. It's not some grand entrance.
Right. And he has these relatable problems. Crypto, the dog, is a handful.
Right.
He tries to cook this romantic dinner for Lois.
And it's a total disaster.
Pretty much, yeah. He gets visibly frustrated sometimes. These little things, these fallibilities, they make his whole philosophy, quiet power, hope over strength feel real, not preachy.
He wants to be human, essentially, not a god.
Exactly. And if Corenswet is the heart, Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane is definitely the anchor. Narrative, ethical, all of it.
She's fantastic. Not just the love interest waiting to be saved, which happens way too often.
God, yes. Brosnahan's Lois is a force. Fully formed character, her own agency, this crusading reporter. She never needs rescuing.
And the film starts with them already together, right? Which is smart.
Very smart. Lets their chemistry just spark from scene one. It's electric.
People rave about that interview scene in her apartment.
Oh, it's brilliant. She's grilling him as a journalist about the ethics of him intervening in a war unilaterally.
So it's like a screwball comedy, but with really high stakes.
Totally. It perfectly establishes her as his equal. Intellectually, morally, her superpower is just relentless truth-seeking.
And her conflict is great, too. Loving Clark, but not compromising her principles as a reporter.
Yeah, that gives the film some of its most human moments, really grounds it.
Okay, so you need a great villain for a great hero. Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. How does he fit in?
He's maybe the definitive screen Luthor for a lot of people now. It's a really fresh take.
What's his motivation here? Not just world domination.
No, it's much more pathetic, actually. It's pure, raw jealousy.
Jealousy of Superman.
Yeah, think about it. Luthor was the top dog, right? Brilliant, rich, self-made pinnacle of humanity. Then this alien shows up who can do everything better without even trying.
So his obsession is about being replaced, feeling irrelevant.
Exactly that, which makes him the perfect foil for this very sincere, guileless Superman. Clark is earnest. Luthor is all fake charm, smarmy.
And his evil feels very now, very contemporary.
Right. He's basically reimagined as this kind of tech bro oligarch. Think Musk, Bezos, that type.
And he uses their tools. Propaganda, social media.
Oh, yeah. Weaponizes it all. An army of bots spreading fear about the alien immigrant, turning public opinion. He embodies weaponized cynicism.
So he doesn't just want to kill Superman physically.
No, he wants to destroy what Superman means. Prove he's a hypocrite. Because if Superman is a fraud, then Luthor's own awfulness is somehow justified, you see.
That's chilling.
Yeah.
And there was that interesting detail about the casting budget, right?
Yeah, kind of unusual for a blockbuster. Holt, as Luthor, was actually the highest paid actor, got a reported $2 million.
While Corenswet and Brosnahan got less.
They got $750,000 each. Still great, obviously, but less than the villain. And equal pay for them, which is also notable.
What does that tell you about their strategy?
It feels very character first. They knew Luthor was the engine of the ideological conflict, so they invested heavily there.
And getting maybe less famous leads allowed them to become Superman and Lois without baggage.
That seems to be the thinking. Let the roles define them. Foster that authentic chemistry everyone noticed, and clearly the box office showed it worked. Story and casting over just one huge name.
Beyond the characters, the whole look of the film is so distinctive.
It really is. That visual language, crafted with the cinematographer Henry Bram, it's just so bright and inviting.
Like a comic book page come to life. Those rich primary colors.
And that's such a deliberate choice, isn't it? A direct counterpoint to the darker, desaturated look that dominated for a while.
Like the visuals themselves are making an argument. Joy and depth can coexist.
Exactly. The world feels vibrant, electric, a place where wonder feels, actually possible again.
And that sense of wonder extends to the world building, too. It feels lived in.
Yeah, Gunn doesn't spoon-feed you the universe. He just drops you in. Suddenly, there are all these other heroes around.
Like Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, the Green Lantern. He's hilarious.
He really is. And Isabella Merced as Hawk Girl, Edie Gathegi as Mr. Terrific. They just exist. No need for lengthy origin stories within this movie.
Which avoids all that tedious setup.
Right, and it creates this sense of a much bigger history just off-screen. Makes you curious about the rest of this DCU.
Didn't they hint at older heroes, too? Like in the Hall of Justice?
Yeah, there's a mural. You see hints of the Jay Garrick Flash, Dr. Fate, suggesting a whole legacy. It feels rich.
The sound is a big part of that Gunn feel, too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The music choices.
Definitely. You've got the score, anchored by that Williams theme, yeah.
But the needle drops. That's pure Gunn.
Like using that upbeat indie pop song during a big action scene. 5 years' time.
Yeah, Noah and the Whale. It's so unexpected. Injects this playful, almost zippy energy into the chaos. Reminds you it's supposed to be fun.
But then there's the punk rock, too, which feels more thematically connected.
Right. Using Punk Rocker by Teddy Bears and Iggy Pop over that montage of Clark with his parents.
It links that outsider energy of punk to Clark's own identity, right?
Precisely. And it all builds to that fantastic line between Clark and Lois. He basically suggests that in a world this cynical, maybe kindness is punk rock.
Wow. That kind of sums up the whole movie's argument, doesn't it?
It really does. And Gunn even made Spotify playlists for the characters. Little details like that make them feel less like icons, more like actual people.
So bringing it all together, the film seems really tuned into 21st century anxieties. Absolutely. That's where it feels truly innovative. Past Superman movies were often about physical threats. Luthor's main weapons aren't really kryptonite. They're propaganda,
Right.
bots, lies.
Trying to reframe Superman in the public eye, make him seem dangerous, the alien immigrant.
And that big twist where Luthor fakes the message from Jor-El makes it look like Superman was sent to conquer Earth.
That's not about beating him physically. It's about destroying his reputation, his symbol.
Right. So Superman's fight isn't just saving lives. It's defending simple, objective truth. When he pleads people were going to die, that's him holding on to basic reality.
In a post-truth world, that straightforward morality becomes radical.
It really does. His incorruptibility is his greatest strength here. The conflict becomes truth versus narrative. He has to fight for the very idea of goodness. That's the post-truth Superman. Relevant again.
And the film leans into the immigrant angle, too.
Yeah.
More than usual.
Much more. It reclaims that as central. Luthor's rhetoric is openly xenophobic, and you see the government willing to strip this immigrant of his rights, detain him.
It draws pretty clear parallels to current debates then. Without taking sides, it presents those parallels.
Exactly. It just shows it. There's a key scene, a monologue, where Superman confronts Luthor about being called an alien. Critics really highlighted that as being quite nuanced for the genre.
And there's the geopolitical angle, too, with that fictional conflict.
Yeah, Superman stepping into that war between Jarhanpur and Baravia, which is backed by Luthor, it raises messy questions. Unilateral power, sovereignty.
Which gets explored in those dialogue scenes with Lois.
Right. The film doesn't offer easy answers there, but it raises the questions.
So if you trace the evolution, Reeve was classical optimism, physical threats. Cavill was somber realism, existential angst.
And Corrin Sweat, radical sincerity. Facing these moral, almost epistemological battles, his vulnerability is public perception, human error. And the villain is driven by pure envy, attacking goodness itself.
He's relatable, wants to inspire with kindness, which is the punk rock move.
Exactly. Now look, it's not a flawless film. Critics mention things.
Like maybe the plot gets a bit crowded. Too many characters.
Yeah, a bit overstuffed maybe. And the tone, juggling the sincerity and the silliness, it sometimes wobbles a little.
And the ending. Still some big CGI battles.
There is. It dips into that familiar territory. But honestly, these feel like small things given the film's sheer ambition.
It's trying to be so many things. Funny, heartfelt, adventurous, thoughtful.
And it largely succeeds. The massive success, critically and commercially, sends a huge message back to Hollywood, doesn't it?
That the cure for superhero fatigue isn't more cynicism.
Exactly. It's maybe a courageous return to the core appeal, the mythic heart of it all.
And Gunn's real achievement might be proving that Goodness, that sincerity.
Mhm.
It isn't boring, it's actually the source of the best drama.
Absolutely. In a world full of anti-heroes, grim news, Superman makes this powerful case for just basic decency as a form of rebellion almost.
It reminds you the fantasy wasn't really just about flying.
No, it was about believing in him, believing in kindness, truth, hope, and maybe that's a belief still worth holding on to.
So something to think about as you leave us today. In a world that often seems to reward cynicism, what old-fashioned virtues might actually be the most revolutionary acts of all?